Okay. Alright, so it's been a while since I made one of these. But I'm back in Lisbon, and it's really nice to see some old friends but it's been one thing that's been on my mind recently is I was talking to a friend about my experience with therapy, and it occurred to me, I never made this realization before, but looking back, I had this amazing therapist and I saw her for like 3.5 years. One thing though, that when I look back on that experience, first of all, she never really necessarily like told me to do anything. Like maybe a few little challenges here and there, but mostly she just listened. But the main thing she did was she validated me. And I think she was, so first of all, I really respected her. I thought she was just really cool and interesting and just a really cool person. And the level of vulnerability, of course, that you reach with a therapist is probably like the most, any sort of relationship. I think there's things you can say in therapy that you can maybe never say, maybe to anybody ever, right? But I think what was transformative about that experience was to share such a depth of vulnerability with somebody and to have them accept you anyways, if that makes sense. I think so. That was, I think, one of the first experiences I can remember where somebody that I really respected, really cared about, when I showed her everything that I had, just opened up everything, that she respected and admired and liked me as well, if that makes sense, right? And either she was a really good therapist and really good at faking it, right? Or, I mean, I really do think she genuinely liked me, if that makes sense, right? I mean, and whether she really did or not really doesn't matter, but that level of validation is super important. And I think that's how it is with every relationship, right? I think that's really the power of sharing vulnerable things with other people, is that we don't really care if people accept our superficial selves, right? We all have like different versions of ourselves and different narratives that we show to the world, and we don't really care when people like accept and validate the like curated parts of ourselves, right? What we really care about is when we show it all, when we show the skeletons in the closet, the really edge and the really undesirable parts of ourselves. We care when people accept that, right? And it's been interesting in the last like couple weeks. I've been feeling like my conversations with people haven't been connecting as strongly, right? I really think, so this is something I talked about a few videos ago, of like, I think like I've had this tendency to overact my personality to get people to like me, right? And that's something that I learned when my self-esteem really wasn't that good. And I think now that my self-esteem is like really solid, I guess more solid than it's ever been. Obviously there's some ways to go, but I'm at a really good foundation. I've been experimenting with holding back, right? Like, I think it's fine to really overact and be enthusiastic and to channel the exciting and interested parts of yourself when you're having a conversation, and to do things in a genuine way that make the other person have a good experience and feel good about themselves, and then the side effect is they connect with you, right? But I think for the longest time, that's been driven by a motive of like fear of loss, right? Wanting to get the person to like me. And I think I've gotten really good at that in lots of scenarios, but I'm wanting to experiment with trying to, first of all, pulling back has really kind of helped me see where that boundary is, right? But one thing I've noticed right off the bat is like, a lot of my conversations are less fulfilling, right? And so just because like I haven't been implementing the skills that I've learned, like social skills of how to connect people, I haven't been implementing as strongly because I haven't been like coming from a place of need, right? So I think it's allowed me to kind of recalibrate and hopefully try to express those same things, but from a place of just, I want to connect, right? And I want to get value out of a conversation. I want to have a good relationship or build on a previous relationship or whatnot. But it's been an interesting shift, right? And I guess this all comes back to this vulnerability idea, because that's like one of the most powerful ways that you can really connect with somebody, right? Although I guess that's other experiments that I'm doing, is like learning when and how to express that vulnerability in a way, because so often I'll jump into like vulnerable stories in the wrong setting, right? And I learn a lot from those experiences, and I'm not like, I don't regret doing that, but sometimes I'll share something really vulnerable and the other person doesn't recognize how vulnerable it is, right? And it kind of hurts, to be honest, right? Like I'm expecting like I don't know, I'm sharing something very raw and they just like brush it off as if I was talking about the weather. Like that's obviously doesn't feel nice, and probably in those situations it just means it wasn't the appropriate time to express that, or the individual, like we weren't there yet. However, at the same time, I have had lots of great experiences sharing very vulnerable things, maybe not very, but sharing vulnerable things quickly with people that I meet. And it creates a really cool connection, right? And it's and I've noticed that when I share something real with somebody, sometimes you can tell the other person is like really happy and glad that they can now share something of equal vulnerability, right? And that's really what creates those relationships really quickly. And I've had a lot of really beautiful moments with people that way. I think like today's video is not really very cohesive, a little bit rambly, but that's just some things that's been on my mind. So talk to you later. Peace.